As Marx once said, the handmill gives you society with the feudal lord. The steam mill, society with the industrial capitalist, capital. Each technological revolution presents an opportunity to construct new forms of society and reshape human civilization. Today, we see a new wave of change with digital technologies such as AI and blockchain, which offer the possibility of a new social order. Could this new form of society be the communism envisioned by Marx? Of course, Marx's conception of communism was not precise, and it can be interpreted in many ways. However, at least some of the core principles of communism seem to be compatible with the potential of new technologies such as AI and blockchain. It is possible that we can find a path towards communism or human liberation through this new technological wave. As stated in the Communist Manifesto, the proletariat will use its political supremacy to wrest, by degree, all capital from the bourgeoisie, to centralize all instruments of production in the hands of the state, i.e., of the proletariat organized as the ruling class, and to increase the total productive forces as rapidly as possible. The goal of communism is individual freedom, which is achieved through the free development of each individual, in a society where class and class conflicts do not exist. The liberation of the individual is a prerequisite for the liberation of humanity as a whole. Communism is not so much a new form of governance as it is a means of freeing individuals from the state of being ruled over. It seeks to abolish all old relationships between rulers and ruled, such as those based on the state, family, and class. On the Jewish question, Marx made this even clearer. All emancipation is a reduction of the human world and relationships to man himself. It is only when the individual returns to himself as a concrete person and recognizes that his inherent strength is also a social strength, organizing it as such, that he will no longer separate social power from political power, and his liberation will be complete. Therefore, communism is not about depriving individuals of property as much as it is about puncturing abstract rights that are actually subject to the constraints of the ruled and returning the real power that truly belongs to the individual back to each person. In a sense, the ideal of communism is decentralization. In traditional society, people have abstract identities and abstract wealth, and their power and rights are attached to some centralized system of governance. Communism aims to restore abstract things to the real world, not necessarily referring to the physical world in contrast to the digital world, but to whether these things can be truly and freely controlled by each person. In this sense, blockchain technology actually realizes the realization of identity and property in the digital world, returning the actual control to each individual. Communism requires material abundance. The material foundation determines the superstructure, and communism is not a castle in the air. It requires a certain level of development of productive forces to be achieved. Specifically, it requires reaching a level of material abundance. Abundance is actually a relative concept, that is, it is relative to supply and demand. Material resources are not infinite, but fortunately people's demand for them is also limited, so achieving a state of great abundance is possible. We must also distinguish between abstract and practical, material demands. For example, money is an abstract concept and can infinitely inflate, and people's desire for money is also infinite and never satisfied. However, if we only consider people's practical material demands, we will find that these demands are actually quite limited. No matter how greedy a person is, they cannot eat continuously for 24 hours a day. Even if they could, the amount of food they can eat is still limited because the time each person has is limited. People's basic needs for food, clothing, and shelter are gradually being met with the development of productive forces, especially as AI technology increasingly frees people from the labor of producing essential goods for survival. Meanwhile, people's various desires for a better life are increasingly shifting to the metaverse, to seek fulfillment with the development of digital technology, and the reproducibility of digital products ensures ample supply. Therefore, if people can be freed from the worship of money and material possessions, and instead invest more in their desire for rich life experiences in the digital world, material abundance is already foreseeable in the future. The significance of placing humans in the new era. Each period of change is also a change in values. What people pursue and the criteria for measuring meaning will change. For example, in feudal times, land was the most desirable thing, but in the capitalist era, capital replaced the logic of land. Abstract monetary expansion became the measure of value, and the ability to promote production and reproduction, useful talent, became the benchmark for measuring the meaning of life. However, when material abundance is greatly enriched and basic material production is taken care of by AI, where should human meaning be measured? If people no longer need to work hard and struggle to solve basic material production, then what else is meaningful and worth doing? Is it destined for humans to become idle and bored apes? Some people say that living is better than dying, and living is the highest meaning. But for Marx, this is an animal standard. The animal is directly one with its life activity. It does not distinguish itself from it. Life activity is everything for animals, but for humans, they must transcend life itself and project themselves into the external world. Marx goes on to say, man not only sees himself reflected, but also actively and consciously makes his own reflection. In short, the meaning of humanity lies in creating the world. The greatest threat of capitalism is the alienation of people. Workers can no longer see themselves in what they create, and therefore cannot find their own meaning in the world. Ancient craftsmen could see themselves in their work, their aesthetics, talent, will, limitations, etc. But a Foxconn employee cannot see any projection of their own in an iPhone. In this sense, digital technologies such as AI and blockchain will not lead to a loss of meaning for humans. On the contrary, they may help free humans from illusory meanings and rediscover their own meaningful pursuits, by placing themselves in the world through creation. Action in the digital world. Hannah Arendt expanded on Marx's ideas and subdivided labor, which was generally grouped together in Marx's work, into three distinct modes of active living: labor, work, and action. Labor refers to the necessary tasks that fulfill material needs for survival. These activities are never-ending, as satisfying basic needs like hunger and shelter is an ongoing process. The cyclical nature of labor can easily trap individuals in a mindset that prioritizes fulfilling basic needs over seeking higher meaning. Work, on the other hand, aims to go beyond individual needs and limitations to create something for the world outside of oneself. As Marx emphasized, the self-intuition of man in a created world is achieved not through labor but through work. Action refers to collective human life. The physical painting of Mona Lisa has no inherent value. It only gains meaning when it is seen and appreciated by others. The value of human creation can only be realized when it enters the public sphere, where it can be witnessed, commented on, and recorded by countless individuals. Human socialization, collaboration, competition, and commentary enrich the meaning of the worlds we create. We see that AI technology is helping to alleviate the never-ending cycle of labor, while blockchain and NFT technology provide a permanent digital medium that assigns a position to each individual in the world we create, allowing creators to return to the logic of work. DAOs are attempting to explore a new mode of action in the digital age. We propose the slogan, Cult DAO, with the goal of exploring a way to create a world and form communities that can adapt to the upcoming digital age in which humans coexist with AI. Our experiment ultimately aims for self-liberation of individuals, allowing each person to develop freely.